Hi, Arthur here again from the Fluence Agency. I had a meeting this morning with an associate of mine, a very, very good friend who is also a social media digital marketing practitioner. And one of the things that the two of us discussed is basically uh, how clients see social media. A client would sometimes come to you and tell you, so how is the social media thing a benefit to me? How is it beneficial? Will it sell my product? And the answer to a question like that is, how is it a benefit to me? I'll give you two answers basically. There's a lot more, but I'll deal with only two now. The first thing is, let's compare doing social media with what you would normally do, which is maybe a print ad or a TV ad or something. And the first thing is that you cannot talk back to a television ad. You cannot talk back to a newspaper ad. You cannot tell it if you pay, for example, you see a Vodacom ad and it says calls are now R2 a minute. You can't tell them, listen, why don't you adjust your pricing for a certain demographic or a certain iconographic part of the population, or certain LSM category. You can't do that. However, on social media, you can actually talk back to the brand. You can comment, you can share, you can even lobby. People are doing petitions via Facebook. Just to give you an example, not so long ago, I had a meeting with a young woman here in the city of Durban, and she owns a spice brand. And one of the things she told me, and I actually was very curious about, is that one of the samples that she had with her was a packet of turmeric. And what you normally find on other spice brands is that there's a lot of spice powder on the outside of the packaging, and I never want to touch it. It's like, to me, it's filthy. So when I go into shops, I pick it up with my two little fingers, pinch it between, and I drop it in the basket. And hers doesn't have this. Her packaging is clean outside, it's smooth. And I asked her about it, and she actually explained to me that that turmeric is a very active ingredient, and that it actually the plastic that you find most spice brands in is porous. It's very micro. You can't see it with the naked eye. It's micro porous. So what happens is some of the turmeric actually seeps through, and that's how it gets into the outside. The people that does the packaging are not messy at all, and I'm sure this happens with other types of spices as well, not just turmeric. And that's how you find some of the spice dust on the outside. But now she told me this in a face-to-face meeting. However, that meeting was set because of contact that we had on Facebook. I'm the brand consumer, she's the brand owner. We could have had that conversation on Facebook as well, and I would have learned from her because of the interactive nature of a platform like Facebook. Twitter, same thing. Pinterest, same thing. You can actually interact with the brand, and that is how social media is so much better than your expensive television ad. What happens basically is you find that a company would pay 200,000 Rand for a full page ad in the Sunday Times. Now, I buy the Sunday Times, I spend money on it, I buy it, I read it cover to cover every Sunday. But what happens with your 200,000 Rand ad in the full page ad in the Sunday Times is, on Monday afternoon, my wife peels potatoes, and she wraps the potato peels in your 200,000 Rand ad. And that is what happens. That will never happen on a social network. The other thing that happens on social media compared to traditional advertising or traditional methods of marketing and selling is that you can actually build a community. A community, I'm talking about 200 or 2,000 people, 10,000 people. You can do that. And that community can then be a captive audience for all your future marketing, your future branding, your future communication, future brand messages. And that's basically what social media enables you to do. It enables you to build a community around your brand. You cannot do that with a television ad. 30 seconds later, most people, even if your ad is seen by 1 million people, 30 seconds later, they have forgotten that they've seen your ad. Woof, gone. In fact, if you spend money on a newspaper ad, and even if it reaches 10 million people, nobody reads, nobody buys a paper to see ads. They dismiss your ad, they ignore your ad, they basically just flip the page. And that's really what happens. Whereas on social media, that message is going nowhere. It's always going to be there for as long as that social network exists, which means that even if other people come, they will find that brand message there. And therefore, it's important that when you use social media, you educate, you entertain, you engage. And that's basically how you suck people into your sales funnel. And as far as sales are concerned, social media is not really, yes, it is a sales tool. It can be a sales tool. But the primary use of social media is basically to suck people into your sales funnel using content, using engaging content, using humorous content, to basically make them gravitate towards your brand. But at the end of the day, your brand, your product should basically sell itself. If your product cannot sell itself by means of just the attributes of the product, then maybe you should look at selling something else. And that, in a nutshell, is basically why we believe social media is maybe not better, because print media and TV will always be with us, maybe not better, but it has benefits as well. It is just as good, maybe even better than what you are doing right now to market, promote, and sell your product. This is Arthur from the Fluence Agency. Cheers.